New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins. Just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag. The one you stole from your ex. Or your overpriced half a studio apartment. Or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar. Triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a Vitamin Water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Megan's sitting out the Formula One to drive the road to Patagonia. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom.
Groovy.
Well, hello and welcome back to another week of Off Screen. And this has got to be one of the most exciting weeks for me in regards to movies we're talking about, because we are going to look at least 2 movies that I'm really keen to know what they're like. F1 for a start.
Yeah.
Mainly because I do like Brad Pitt. I'm a bit of a Brad Pitt fan. There's not many films I've seen with him in it that I dislike. And secondly, some of it was filmed just up the road from me here at Silverstone, not far from you as well, Van, to be fair.
Actually, it gets weirder with my Pitt, but I'll save that for when we're reviewing it. It gets a lot weirder for me.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, in a very strange, and it's all over a certain regional Facebook feed for the last couple of days. So yeah, but of course, I'm looking forward to telling you mostly about. And when you said I'm excited about this, I thought, is he like a closet Megan fan? Like, because I didn't know this about you.
Well, I do want to know what Megan is like. I genuinely want to know what you thought of that one, because, you know, me and the other half, we love a good horror. So, yeah, we're going to look at those. We've got the road to Patagonia to look at as well, but we're going to start, as we always do every week, with the box office top 10. So let's see if there are any surprises. I was going to say survivors. Surprises.
I thought you were there. That's like survivors. I mean, yeah, a couple of films against the odds have survived in the box office top 10, but, you know, it's because we don't release that many mainstream movies these days. Like post-COVID, I don't think we'll ever release the same number of mainstream movies as we once did. But yeah, as evidenced by number 10, which has now been out for a month, and it's The Ballad of Wallace Island, with Tim Key reuniting his favourite band for a private gig because he's won the lottery. Which is, a charming enough concept and very clearly inspired by Fleetwood Mac in this particular case. Carey Mulligan, I liked it. I'm a big Tim Key fan anyway. I think I worked with him in the mid-2010s, I think. I did a couple of... when he was doing a show on Talk Radio at one point, and I had to do some film spots for him. Okay, that was it. He had me on his show when there was some controversy about Porky's, about the movie Porky's being censored, and he tried to feign that he didn't quite get why it was problematic. And I was like, dude, have you seen American Pie lately? Like, that is a problematic as hell movie, and that is half the age that Porky's is. I mean, really? Yeah. But alas, he's not got quite that dumbfounded in The Ballad of Wallace Island, it has to be said.
You might want to turn around and just pick up that name behind you, though, just in case. At number 9, Karate Kid Legends. 4 weeks, but quite a difference in total box office takings, to be fair. We're at 5.2 million in 4 weeks. I mean, it's not really surprising, let's be honest.
No, and that's a pretty good taking for a movie that cost this is about Cheap and Cheerful, like a $30 million movie. I think something like that. It's not 30 million, it's about 90 million, something like that. It's been made relatively on the cheap for a summer tentpole type release. It's obviously not a big banner tentpole, but the Karate Kid, brand still carries some water. Obviously, off the back of Cobra Kai as well, you can sort of understand I would have maybe tied this in slightly more with Cobra Kai because the release strategy seems odd. It's only been 3 months since Cobra Kai finished, and It's kind of odd that this doesn't form a bit more of a prologue than it does. But I really like the film. And I think if you're a fan of, for instance, Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, It's the same story. It's just the sides of the world are flipped round on this one. This is, the Asian teen coming to America rather than the American teen going to Asia. But otherwise, same movie, added bonus of Jackie Chan and Daniel San, which is charming enough and I think works a treat. We all had a good time at the screening for this. I don't think it's going to be anyone's favourite movie of the year or anything like that, but I think it's a movie that, really will find its home definitely when it hits streaming and DVD with the beer and pizza crowd. I think this is we're gonna have to reissue the Karate Kid box set, obviously, but I can see this being like a fan fave, definitely.
All right, we'll move on to number 8 in the charts today from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. It's been out for 3 weeks now, and that's on 3.1 million, which I thought that would do more than that, to be honest, in 3 weeks.
I mean, to be honest with you, they've inserted from the world of John Wick into the title because I just think they had no faith in this actually taking off without the John Wick connection. He features prominently in the film. But the other thing is, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day we were waiting for Jurassic World. We were waiting for a screening of Jurassic World. And we were talking about ridiculous embargoes because I had to sign one of the strangest embargoes of my career this week for Megan 2. I will tell you about it when we get to Megan. Absolutely bizarre. So we were talking about like weird embargoes, and we were talking about how Ballerina had been had famously had an embargo in the US that said you weren't allowed to talk about it on social unless it was positive. Which we wrote off as you are now just saying the quiet part out loud, aren't you, publicists?
Wow.
And yeah, by the time it got to the UK, we were like 24 hours off the embargo dropping anyway, so I don't think they even bothered with us on that one. But people have been saying, like, when they had gone and done the junket, a friend of mine had done the junket for Ballerina and was told explicitly, you are not allowed to refer to the film as a spin-off. You're not allowed to call it that. To which I'm like, it's not even the first John Wick spin-off. That's the weird part. Because nobody is technically a John Wick spin-off. Nobody takes place in the world of John Wick. I mean, we've got a sequel to that coming out in a few months. And also there's The Continental, which is the prequel spin-off about the hotel. So there are already 2 spin-offs of John Wick. What are you so sensitive about here? All right, Continental was garbage and nobody kicked so much ass. But they got really cagey about the spin-off side of it. So it's kind of odd that they don't want you to call it a John Wick spin-off, and yet at the same time they're so reliant on the John Wick connection. So it's kind of a confused messaging around it, which I think that is going to translate to a lack of people kind of being really invested. I don't know anyone, any like member of the public friend of mine who's gone and seen it. I literally don't know a single one.
No, I don't either.
I thought it was pretty decent for what it was, but it's very early 2000s direct-to-DVD, just with modern, 2020s level action choreography and set pieces, which is, the bread and butter of 87 and all. Other than that, though, perfectly fine. Nothing to really cry about. I don't think we'll ever get a sequel, but to be fair, I don't think we need one.
Yeah, I think I just assumed that because it had John Wick in the title that more people were going to go and give it a go, and it doesn't look like they did.
We are getting John Wick 5 now. That has been confirmed. I don't know if this is just going to be him in hell, like fighting demons in the afterlife, given how the last one ended. But yeah, apparently John Wick 5 is confirmed.
Is it a spin-off?
Keanu's back. Yeah, apparently not. Well, I don't think they'll let you call it a spin-off or a sequel or anything. I'm curious what they'll let us call it. But, yeah.
All right, then at number 7, Sitar Zameen Par. No idea what this is.
I was really looking forward to you pronouncing that. I was like just amusing myself in my own head, thinking I can't wait for.
But I got it right. Yeah.
But you got it right. You have to let me down there. Damn it, man. Oh, it's that professional BBC training paying off, isn't it? Not a clue. I don't know what it is either. There wasn't a press show. Screw it. Let's move on. Number 6, The Salt Path. Which I really liked. I was really won over by this. I thought it was a really moving, really lovely film. Number 5, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It's finally slipped down. I'm shocked actually at what kind of kicked this down the way. Because I was almost right. I said to you last week that 2, 3, and 4 this week would be How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. You can see the same list I can right now. I was close, but I did not expect. Did not expect what was to come. So number 5, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. Number 4, Lilo and Stitch. Both of these movies I quite like. The first hour of Mission Impossible is a disaster, but it more than makes up for it with the remaining hour and 3/4, I think, that it's got on it. Lilo and Stitch, a pretty nicely gauged update as well. I think that worked quite well. And at number 3 is the big surprise for this week, because I loved this movie, but I knew it bombed in the US. Did not expect it to get this high in the chart. Is Pixar's Elio. Yeah. Which I pitched to you is absolutely one you should take the kids to and see. I told you, skip over Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon, see this, and the kids will love you. And I know you did go to the cinema last weekend, but that's a story we'll have to save for after How to Train Your Dragon, which is at number 2, has now made £12.7 million.
Wow.
And I think it's probably going to make about another half of that as well. So I would say this will tap out about 18 by the time it's done, especially given that the summer holidays are more or less here. Like, we're only a few weeks off the kids finishing for the summer holidays. I could see this and Lilo and Stitch still having some gas in the tank with the family crowd. But of course, the movie you went to see on, was it Saturday night you went to see? It's your first 4DX experience. Take it away, sir. Tell us about number 1.
So, number 1, 28 years later, only 1 week on release, nearly 5 million, and I can totally see why. First ever 4DX experience at the weekend. Decided to book it for me and the other half. Never ever done it before. And I'll tell you the very quick story of how it began. So I said, right, we've got sat comfortably, all good. Should we get some popcorn and a drink? All right, you stay there. I'll go and get it. Came back with giant popcorn, giant drink. Put the popcorn on my other half's lap. I went to sit down with the drink. At the exact moment they decided to play the advert for 4DX. So this is what your movie entails. Yep. So as I sat down, my backside touched the chair, and then it was firmly pushed back up again, and left and right and up and down and round while I'm balancing, holding this massive thing of drink, trying not to spill it over my other half's lap. We're laughing. The popcorn goes everywhere, and literally the whole auditorium were laughing at us. They knew what was coming. We didn't. And that was my first, my first experience. But I loved it. Like, it added so much to the movie. Like, it was, great.
That is exactly why, by the way, you are not allowed to take a coffee into a 4DX screen. That's a genuine thing. They won't allow you the hot drink in the 4DX
I can see
screen
why.
for exactly that reason. I'm a big fan of 4DX. It had never occurred to me, actually, 28 years later. I didn't know it was actually being released in 4DX. I thought they were relying on the IMAX for it. But that obviously is going to get taken over this week by another film that we shall be talking about shortly. I like the film very much, 28 years later. And it's something that I think you like more with the passage of time. Like, as well, the more that you get to sit with it, the better it becomes as well. And it's already very good to begin with. But I think the more that you sit with it, like, gosh, yeah, that was actually a really impressive way to do that. Like, I didn't see them using the 28 days later kind of landscape for the story that they are telling.
Yeah, and I think I can safely say I've never watched a horror movie that I've cried in before. And me and the other half, we had tears rolling down our face. You know which part I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Yes.
And, it was moving at the same time as being petrifying at points.
Can I ask as well, because I know the bit you're talking about, and the poster for this, the marketing for is the Bone Temple. It is the Mountain of Skulls. Yeah. There is one of the posters that's quite prominent is literally the young boy's hands being given a skull. That is the marketing for the movie. In context, once you've seen the film, how messed up is that? Like, how absolutely insane is that in the context of actually having seen the film? Like, no spoilers, but that is a nutso decision.
Oh, massively. And me and my other half literally looked at each other and were like, what? What?
It would be like marketing Old Yeller with the dog corpse on the poster.
Yes. Yes. But massively worth watching, honestly. And like you said, very obvious it's the start of a trilogy at the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the end sort of comes out of nowhere. By the way, did you ever think you would watch, a movie this expensive and this sort of like mainstream that opened with the Teletubbies? It's a wacky decision, but it kind of works. I was
forgot
a big
about
fan of
that.
this.
Yeah,
No,
I
but
forgot
there you
about
go. Because at the end, there's a certain color coding thing in that ending where they sort of look like,
Yes.
it all comes together. So we shall see what happens in January with the next one, with the Bone Temple, as it's now called. But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Cannot wait for the second part of that one. All right, well, that's the box office top 10. We are going to look at the Road to Patagonia on the show today. We've got F1, and next we'll see what Van thought to Megan 2.0. So stay right where you are.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This episode is brought to you by PetSmart. Stop by for Yappy Hour with your pet at PetSmart. Save $5 on walk-in grooming services like nail trims, ear cleaning, brushing, and more. No appointment needed every weekday from 2 to 6 p.m. And while you're there, Yappy Hour includes exclusive in-store deals like 25% off pet toys. Visit services.petsmart.com/grooming to learn more.
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. We are going to have a nosy at what's on Freeview this week for you, and we're going to cover the new F1 movie with Brad Pitt in as well. But right now we're going to focus our attention on Megan 2.0. Just had like a brief conversation off air with Van. I sort of can't remember if I saw the first one or if I went to see it but didn't actually get to see it because I can't really remember much about it. So you might have to give a bit of a recap here.
Well, I mean, so the first Megan, or Mithrigan, as it was written, because it's M3GAN, which incidentally is an abbreviation. It's an acronym for Model 3 Generative Android, I believe. And you've got to remember that 2 or 3 years ago when they made Megan, AI was not a very big thing. AI was not the topic that it is now. The film very loosely deals with AI. It was kind of more of a riff on Alexas. It was effectively, what if it was an Alexa in a human body, and the idea is that you've got the inventor of this android, who's played by Alison Williams from Get Out and Girls. She becomes the unlikely, sort of begrudging carer to her niece when the little girl is widowed, I think in a car accident. When the little girl is orphaned in a car accident. And because she doesn't know how to parent her, she basically gives her experimental product to play with, which is an android that looks like a little girl, Megan. And of course, she then takes the protect Katie at all costs principle way too much to heart and goes full bunny boiling psychopath on it. It was a lot of fun, and it was very much a straight horror movie, but it was the kind of formulaic one we had all seen before. It was just that the fun was in Megan herself. Like, she was such a wacky little creation with so much sort of wit and sass that you went along with it. We now have a sequel because that movie was made for very cheap and made a lot of money, so I wouldn't be shocked if you have seen it because, judging by the box office receipts, pretty much everyone did. We've now got Mithrigan 2.0, which is set 2 years after the events of that movie, and Lawnmower Man style, Megan has been hiding in cyberspace this entire time. This is sort of the ending of the first movie. After they killed her, it was revealed that she was kind of hiding in their Alexa. It now transpires that she's not only been hiding there for 2 years, she has also been secretly keeping watch over Katie and her aunt.
Ooh, creepy.
Yes, and sort of silently, secretly playing Guardian Angel. Into this mix comes a new android. So we had Megan, now we have Amelia. It turns out that the US military bought all the patents to the Megan project, and they secretly decided to take the next logical leap. What if it looked like an adult woman and she could be used for the purposes of war and covert operations? However, on her very first mission, Amelia snaps, goes completely off script, kills the target and steals a bunch of nerve gas. And now it seems she's working her way through the list of people who had a hand in her creation, which of course includes Katie's aunt and Katie herself. So before you can say Terminator 2, this time we've got to reprogram the bad guy to be the good guy to protect our good guy. So it's literally the T-800 is now the good guy rather than the bad guy and has to take out a T-1000, albeit they're kind of evenly matched. So I've got a clip for you. This is Megan revealing herself to Allison Williams.
You've been here this whole time.
Well, I've been many places. But yes, I've been keeping an eye on you.
You're behind all this, aren't you? You're Amelia.
Oh no, I can't take credit for that. That one has your greasy prints all over it. You should have upgraded your file security.
Why are you still here? What do you want?
Did you ever stop to think about what we could have achieved together? Did you ever consider the idea that killing me was slightly disproportionate to the crime?
You threatened to rip out my tongue and put me in a wheelchair.
I was upset.
Is there any comedy in this? That might sound like a strange question, but I feel with this kind of genre and with this kind of storyline, there's room for some funny bits.
I'm glad you asked, because that is the big thing here. So, the first movie was a relatively straight-faced horror concept. You know, the home, it's based Child's Play. The movie it's effectively the Chucky formula, the first one. The second one gives up the ghost on the horror stuff entirely. This is more of a sci-fi action comedy, is the best kind of thing. It's a sci-fi action movie that just has a lot of comedy in there. So, first and foremost, because they know that everybody loved the Megan character from the first one, obviously we can't really have her as the threat again. So it's an inventive enough way of doing an Arnie, doing what they did with Arnie in the Terminator movies, and okay, people love Arnie now, let's make him the hero. They've also, and this I actually traced this apparently to a bit of real world kind of corporate dabbling. Megan gets a physical upgrade in this movie. She still looks the same, but she's noticeably taller. She's about as tall as the adult threat, the adult villain, one of these. And the reasoning for that, apparently, is that Blumhouse are opening an entire section in Universal Studios that is going to have, you know, people working in the park dressed as Mithrigan, and it's easier to get short adults to play Megan than it ever would be to get children to do it. So that's kind of a clever thing that they've worked in. Because everybody loved that side of Megan and the one-liners and things from the first movie, though, that gets amped up to 11 here. And for the most part, that works. The bit where it doesn't work, however, is in everything around Megan. Specifically, Jermaine Clement from Flight the Conchords, What We Do in the Shadows, The Last Men in Black, the third Men in Black movie. He was the time-traveling Boris the Impaler or whatever character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's a new character. He's meant to be like a bit of a sleazy tech billionaire type. But he is playing it so broadly comedic that it kind of defines the tone of the movie. It can't help but work exactly to his tone. And I feel like that's unfair, because if he had played it a bit straighter, the Megan stuff would land a lot better than it does. Megan's still a hoot. And I'm a very big fan of Ivanka Sarkno as Amelia. I have this thing about when I saw the Megan Fox Sex Bot movie last year. Remember the one? It was Subservience, the one with the tagline "Don't turn her on." That one, yeah. That was always that's the android I need in my home. That was always my one. I'm changing that now. I want Ivana Sankno. That's the android I want in my home. I will take the risk of death. I just want one. And this very much goes into much more Terminator-like territory. It's not outright illogical, but it does get a little bit convoluted here and there. Having said that, one thing I do have to give it immense props for is because obviously the subject of AI has taken on a life of its own in the past 3 years, this might unintentionally be the definitive movie about AI.
Wow.
This might actually unseat Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning as, This is why you shouldn't mess around with AI. That movie. This might actually take that. I was a big fan. I thought the comedy for the most part worked. Just not quite the Jermaine Clement. I think some of the real world parallels they try to inject here are quite on the nose, but also quite smart. The ultimate sort of MacGuffin, the ultimate reveal of the MacGuffin in this is so deeply rooted in Silicon Valley lore that if you know, like, the late 70s, early 80s history of computing to a certain degree, and if you know the backstory of Steve Jobs, for instance, and the companies that he dealt with, you'll find some certain parts of this incredibly amusing. Weirdest part I had with this as well. So it's directed also as kind of the same standard as the first movie. A lot more neon and a lot more gunplay and action in this one, though. But the weirdest thing I found with this, I saw this on Tuesday morning. You know, because we arranged the screening together. I went to Universal to see this, and they made us all sign embargoes. And I'd never had this before. I'm used to the idea that the embargo says, hey, we're going to show you this at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Can you not tell anyone about it? Don't review it until 5 o'clock on Wednesday. I'm like, okay, cool, because I know you're having another screening of it at 6 o'clock, so that makes sense, that's fair. But also, in the meanwhile, you're not allowed to tell anyone you've even seen it. You're like, wait, what? I've literally never had that. That's never happened before. So immediately upon learning this, we're all thinking, oh, wow, this must be terrible. This has got to be terrible. If they're going to this extreme, it wasn't. I can't figure it out. It's like they were really gun-shy about this. But I don't think they need to be. It's actually a more interesting movie than the first one. Because the first one, you've seen that formula before. Like Child's Play. I mean, there was a remake of Child's Play that literally used the AI helper kind of angle in 2019. So that was only 3 years before Megan. So much so that the final season of Chucky literally featured a sequence in which he was flicking through TV and saw Megan on TV and cusses her out. And I think he says something like "F you, Mithrigan," I think he says out loud in Chucky, which I need to see a crossover of these two characters. I mean, they're both universal, it can work. That being said, I also quite like that this never quite takes the path that you expect it to. So there are certain reveals and characters will draw conclusions. You're like, is it going to be that obvious? Okay, fair enough. It's a Blumhouse movie, and then they don't. I'm like, oh. That's actually quite impressive. So where it goes per half an hour, and it's about an hour 45, hour 50, I think this one. I'll tell you exactly. It is, hour 59, so it's just under the 2 hour mark. But every half an hour it pivots. And it's a very good pivot every time. Every time you think you know what the score is, every time you think, that's Megan's plan. No, actually it's quite surprising. Because like I say, it's a more interesting movie than the first one, but maybe not quite as entertaining. So, make of that what you will.
I think, yeah, that makes a good movie when it's unpredictable, I think. So, I totally get that. Megan 2.0, with Mithrigan 2.0, is out in cinemas from today if you want to go and see it and check it out yourself. Right, still to come, The Road to Patagonia. We're going to look at the new F1 movie with Brad Pitt in, which is already out in cinemas, actually. But next, we're going to look at movies on Freeview this week, the ones you can watch from the comfort of your own home. Next. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. We're going to look at the brand new F1 movie that is already out in cinemas in a second. But we're going to start with movies on Freeview this week. So essentially, this is just to do you a favour. If you're at home, you can't be bothered to go anywhere and you want to watch a movie, that's what this is about. So shall we start with tonight, Friday, great movies, 9 o'clock. I think this is only one of two that I've seen on this list. Jerry Maguire. What a movie.
It's a great one, isn't it? I mean, also the best use of Tom Petty in any movie ever, I think. The sequence in which Tom Cruise is driving and singing Free Falling to console. Who hasn't heard that song when they were driving, like, on the road and, like, done the full Tom Cruise sing-along bit? So, Oscar-winning Cameron Crowe movie from, I think it's 96. Definitely won Best Supporting Actor, I believe, for Cuba Gooding Jr. On great movies tonight at 9 o'clock, as you say. And just a belter. I think it's about, the sleazy sports agent kind of discovering, self-worth, really. And Tom Cruise, particularly at that point and that age, is just note perfect in it. Just absolutely note perfect. This is also the movie that, for better or worse, kind of made a star out of Renee Zellweger for 2 minutes until Bridget Jones kind of carried her the rest of the way. She's kind of thankless in this, to be really honest. But, could anyone... Actually, no, someone else could have played Bridget Jones. I reckon we could have actually found a British actress to play Bridget Jones. I don't think she's particularly good in those movies, but
Florence Pugh.
I mean, now, no, because for all of the weird body stuff of Bridget Jones, like now it'd be even weirder if it'd been Florence Pugh. But yeah, Jerry Maguire tonight at 9 on Saturday though, and I know that you and your son have not seen this. So
Correct.
This is the animated original. Obviously, the live-action remake is number 2 in the box office top 10, as we said earlier. But the animated original of How to Train Your Dragon is on ITV2 on Saturday afternoon at 2. And it's the perfect time for it. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a massive heat wave this weekend. So if you're if the kids are cooked out from playing around in the morning and they need to get indoors, stick this on ITV2. I guarantee you, I know Albert will love this. I know he will absolutely love this. Every little boy, every little girl, all love everyone loves Toothless. It's just one of those things. And it's a really charming movie. Like I said, the live action movie changes nothing. And it's still very good. Even it's a bit soulless. They've just done that. But it's a very good series, to be fair. Sunday, and I'll be really honest, I don't like this movie. I think it's the worst of the franchise. And having seen the new one, I can still say it is the worst of the franchise. But for the completists out there, you may want to watch this before next week, because next week is obviously the release of Jurassic World Rebirth. This is the previous movie, so this is on ITV2 on Sunday night at 6:15. It's Jurassic World Dominion, otherwise known as the one in which everyone comes back, except for Billy for some reason. R.I.P. Billy, we miss you. Billy from Jurassic Park 3, who Alessandro Nivola played. This is where they get Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Chris Pratt and Matt Bryce, all in the same movie. They also repurposed the Dodgson character from the very first Jurassic Park and have him now be a sort of Tim Cook type. Like, he's specifically physically modeled on Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. Like, there is no two ways around that. He is quite clearly meant to be Tim Cook. But like I say, the completists may want to see this. Last week we talked about Creed, I believe, the Rocky spin-off with Michael B. Jordan. Monday night, 9 o'clock on ITV, is Creed 2, which is obviously the sequel to that, but also a direct Lego sequel to the best of the Rocky movies. I'm not sure what your Rocky knowledge is. Do you know what the best Rocky movie is offhand, Mr. Moore?
I can't remember. I think, for me, nothing beats the first one, to be honest.
Wow. Okay, well, the correct answer is the fourth. It's always the fourth. It's always Rocky Solves the Cold War, which is just the best movie with the best soundtrack. I'm sorry, the soundtrack to Rocky 4 is one of those. That's in the top 20 movie soundtracks of all time.
I'd agree with that.
For me, it is just, that's a banging movie through and through. Like, it's idiotic, but it's great. And Dolph Lundgren as the not so subtle communist super soldier is a hoot to behold. But
he's enormous as well.
He is, and he's back for this. Not only is he back, but this time around, it's about Creed facing off against Dolph Lundgren's son. Bear in mind that Dolph Lundgren's character killed Michael B. Jordan's dad in Rocky 4. This is the revenge, this generational revenge story. It's even got a brief appearance of Bridget Nielsen reprising her role from Rocky 4 as well. So you really get to find out everything that happened to those characters after the events of Rocky 4. And I think it's very good. It's also the last in the series to feature Stallone as Rocky Balboa. So there is actually, this is kind of the ending for the character. He kind of gets to go off into the proverbial sunset with this one. Tuesday night, horror show. What was the second film you'd seen, by the way? I keep meaning to ask.
Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh, okay. We'll get there then. So Tuesday night, weirdly, this is on the Horror Channel at 9 o'clock. LA Confidential from 97. I really like this movie. This is a banger. This is one that Paul Ross always picks on the Freeview spot. It's Kevin Spacey, Guy Pearce, Russell Crowe, Kim Basinger, Danny DeVito, James Cromwell. Hell of a cast in this. Like, everybody in it is, it's a that guy. Everyone in it, like, that guy. You'll say that so many times watching this. Really great 1930s Hollywood detective drama, kind of dealing with police corruption and the murder of call girls. But great movie, really loved by the Academy that year. Had a lot of Oscar love around it, kind of thing. Wednesday, 10:35. I don't know if you remember this one. This was something that was quite big in 1999 and then just got forgotten to history. So say ITV4, 10:35. It's Double Jeopardy. Are you familiar with this film?
It doesn't ring a bell. I'm just going to load up the kind of poster.
I'll explain really quickly. So this is a 19... In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because we're being pushed for time. Let's do Road to Patagonia after this and give more time to F1 after. That's what we should do. Right, so Double Jeopardy stars Ashley Judd. This made Ashley Judd a thing, like for 5 minutes, until Harvey Weinstein had a meeting with her, and then her career mysteriously died 5 minutes later. So I will let you read between the lines on that as to what actually happened. You could also go and watch the Me Too movie with Carey Mulligan, in which Ashley Judd appears as herself and actually reprises certain events from the story. But in this movie, she is a widowed woman who's a widower who is seemingly framed for the murder of her husband. She is tried for this, convicted, goes to prison, and discovers that he actually faked his own death, and that there is a law in the US legal system called the Double Jeopardy law, in which you cannot be charged for the same crime twice. So she elects to get out of prison, serve her time, get out of prison, seek him out, and kill him. It's badass. I really like this movie. It's one of those movies like my mother watches a lot, which
punishment-free crime.
Yeah, I mean, it should tell you an awful lot about my mum that this is something she'll watch fairly regularly. I mean, she's a divorced woman. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean? I'll let you do some imagining on what went on there.
Do you know where your dad is?
Funnily enough, no, I actually don't. I have hopes, but anyway. But Double Jeopardy at ITV4 on Wednesday night, 10:35. It's a really solid, sort of very of the era, like punchy 105-minute thriller. It also stars the great Bruce Greenwood as the husband as well, and Tommy Lee Jones as well. I really like this movie. It's strange to me that people have kind of forgotten about it. I would love to see this kind of become a thing, get a resurgence again. But Thursday, I know you've seen this one. It's the first of a trilogy, soon to become... Well, it's now going to get a second trilogy, so I'm not sure what the collective term for 6 is. But we're now going to have 6 of these, apparently. So Olympus Has Fallen, which was then followed by London Has Fallen, which was then followed by Angel Has Fallen, and now we're going to have a whole other Has Fallen trilogy as well. But this is the one that's Die Hard in the White House with Gerard Butler. You a fan of this one? I know you said you've seen it, but you can say if you liked it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I did like it. I wouldn't say it was a 5-star movie. I think I remember watching it thinking, oh, it's all right, but it's not as good as it was made out to be with the trailer and the vibes that everyone was saying about it when it came out. I don't know. I think it had a little bit of American cheesiness for it for me.
No, the other thing was we got 2 of these at the same time. We got twin movies with this one because we had White House Down at the same time. So it was very much a Deep Impact Armageddon thing going on. I preferred the Gerard Butler one to the Channing Tatum one, if I'm really honest. I think it had a bit more oomph, a bit more grissom. You know, and I preferred the presidents. I preferred Aaron Eckhart's president to, Jamie Foxx's very thinly disguised portrayal of Barack Obama. But so you can see this on Thursday night at 5 to 10, not 5 to 11, 5 to 10 on ITV4. Now, just to get this reviewed really quickly, because yikes. So, Road to Patagonia is a release that's out this week. It is a documentary, about 2 strangers who meet during one of them's quest to basically surf the entire west coast of America, the west coast of the Americas, all the way from Alaska down to the very tip of all the way down to Patagonia, the very tip of South America. He basically elects to stitch his surfboard to a bike and ride the coast and surf his way down there. At some point, he meets a young woman as well, who he sort of asks to come along with him and his mates. And, different friends drop off at different points, but they enter into a relationship, form a bond, and she carries on along the way. Right, I'll play you the clip and then I'll tear it to pieces. Here you go.
Jesus.
I know I really like him.
Well, I like her, and I'm pretty sure she likes me. I mean, we're traveling on motorbikes, so it's not a perfect scenario.
Just live outside and be free.
Yeah, just from that clip, I don't particularly want to see it, if I'm honest.
I would advise keeping it that way. 90 of the dullest minutes of my life, and I used to get dragged to a mosque every Friday morning in my childhood, so believe me, I know boredom. No, this is absolute bilge. So, starring, I mean, in so much as the documentary stars anyone, and directed by Matty Hannon, I think his name is, who is the guy you heard in the clip there. What a bunch of posturing gap year nonsense. A bunch of spoilt, pampered, upper middle class tosh. A bunch of bilge you only get if you are that exact kind of that spent 3 years in Thailand after uni just for the lols. You know, that kind of ponce. It's exactly that kind of feckless movie. It's about nothing. It literally amounts to nothing. There's no soul to this. There's just a spoilt little rich kid driving around the car. Someone nicked my bike. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Oh, my mental health. And I'm just thinking, do you know what? I would do a lot worse to you than steal your bike if I met you in person. You are one of the most insufferable human beings I've ever had to spend 90 minutes with, and I'm doing it through a screen. No, not entertaining, not interesting, not engaging, not likable, not charming, not worthy of your time, effort, or presence with your arse on a couch. To hell with this movie, no. If there is a road to Patagonia, it should be closed off and nobody should be allowed access. Absolute crap. Could not stand it.
What was the point of the movie then?
Couldn't tell you. Oh, what's the point of the movie? Well, I've got rich parents and a camcorder. I'd imagine that was it.
Dear. Wow, that says it all, really. I mean, you don't need to say anything else.
Oh, God. You will have met, I guarantee you will have met people like this, and you'll hate them as much as I do.
Oh, I see them daily on TikTok. Not
Yeah,
no word of a lie.
exactly that. You know, no. TikTok would be too mainstream for him. It wouldn't go with his flip-flops and his hemp shirt. You know, one of those. Ugh. Get in the sea, Matty. Get in the sea. I know you intend to get in the sea, but I mean in a very different context. Get in there and don't climb out.
Well, if you want to waste 90 minutes of your life, according to Van, you can catch The Road to Patagonia in cinemas from today. Right, we've got one left. It's the one I've been most looking forward to hearing from Van about, and that is the brand new F1 movie, which has been filmed just up the road from both of us at Silverstone. I'm really excited to hear about it, and we'll see what Van thought next.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. We are on to our final movie of the week, and I cannot wait to hear what Van thought of this one. It is the brand new F1 movie, starring Brad Pitt, of course, and from all I can gather from this, because I actually haven't watched the trailer, is it's about a guy who used to be a racing driver who comes back to try and be a champion once again.
It's actually not that straightforward at all, no. So Brad Pitt is Sonny Hayes. He's not so much a has-been, so much as he was a never was. He was a prodigy racer, meant to be the next big thing, raced with the likes of Schumacher and Senna, had an accident in the early 1990s, and basically vanished from public view for 10 years. Then started turning up in loads of different kinds of racing. And basically just having a go. He was in it for the love of racing. So he will try any kind of racing, and he's an idiot savant at all of them. He's just the best driver there ever was. He is contacted, after winning Daytona in literally the first 5 minutes of the movie, he is contacted by his former second seat racer from that era, who's played by Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem is now the owner and runner of Apex Racing. I think it's Apex Racing. And he has the next Lewis Hamilton on his squad, played by Damson Idris. However, he's cocky, he's arrogant, he doesn't quite know what he's not quite there yet or seasoned enough, and he needs the best second seat driver that he can possibly get. So Javier Bardem seeks out his old friend and says, do you know what? I want to give you that shot you never had. I want to give you a shot at Formula One. And Brad takes it, Sonny Hayes, not Brad Pitt, but Sonny Hayes, played by Brad Pitt, takes the gig, turns up to London, Silverstone, wherever it is in the UK, and goes to team headquarters and becomes part of the Apex Racing team with noticeable product placement for Shark/Ninja. If you didn't own an air fryer before this movie, you probably will by the end. And it's about the seasoned vet who's really never had this shot, and the young upstart whose arrogance needs to be tempered so that he can have a shot, and the rivalry and bond that forms between the pair. So I've got a clip for you. This is Javier Bardem walking in on Brad Pitt having an ice bath and tearing him a new one.
I'm sorry, Ruben, for demolishing not one, but both of your lovely cars, for coming back into your life only to destroy it. Is this your revenge for Monaco?
Yeah, I waited 30 years and came all this way to humiliate myself on global television.
Funny. You think I brought you in to make my other driver quit?
Listen, he's cocky, he's arrogant, he's got a lot to learn.
You were cocky, you were arrogant, and you had a lot to learn.
I'm not here to hold anyone's hand. I'm here to race.
No, you're not. Sonny, you're here to give me a heart attack. I have to decide whether to continue this fiasco or pull the plug now.
You have till the end of the season.
By which time Apex will be worth less than my shoes!
Sorry, I've had to just rewind in my head what you said. Product placement for air fryers in an F1 movie. You can't just say that and move on.
Well, whose logo do you think is slapped all over everything? It's very much like the racing team has Shark Ninja plastered across the helmet, across the front of the car. Yeah, the product play. This is, don't get me wrong, one of the most product placey movies you've ever seen, but it's kind of understandable because that really is an intrinsic part of not just any sport, but specifically Formula One.
Yeah.
As well, you look at every single car in the movie has someone on it. And as you and I have talked at length off mic about, this has very much been, this is an officially made product. This is F1 the movie is the official title. So this is the official movie of Formula One. This has the industry green light, and as you know very well, has been filmed with full Formula One backing. It's been filmed at the actual races. So at the Silverstone Grand Prix, they've kind of put it on pause for, I think it was 9 minutes. They put the thing on pause so that Brad and the cast could get out there and film a bit. And okay, incredible. The only time I can remember that being done at that scale was the movie Goal in 2005, which was a football movie in which they used actual football matches, actual Premier League football matches, to actually stage bits of the film. They actually filmed them at halftime and things like that. This is very much the same kind of thing. So it is Brad Pitt. It is Brad Pitt in the real race pits, with the real guys. Yeah.
So essentially, anyone who went to last year's British Grand Prix, Formula One, could be in this movie because they'll be in the crowd as the car goes round.
Exactly. If you were at the Vegas Grand Prix, if you're at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, because they go around the world on this thing. Every race they go to. And I mean, even the Sphere is in this, so you know how long ago this has to have been filmed. If the Sphere is in it and working, for instance, in Vegas. Mm-hmm. Right, I'm not going to bury the lead. This is fantastic. This is hands down one of the best movies of the year. This is this year's Top Gun Maverick. And yet, funnily enough, it's from the director of Top Gun Maverick. Quick question. Have you ever seen Days of Thunder?
Yes. Hell yes.
Right. Okay. I figured, because obviously you know that they made Top Gun with Tom Cruise, and then immediately afterwards they thought, screw it, let's do that again. And they got the same director, the same producer, the same actor, and they went and did the same thing with Cars. Right. Now imagine they did that to Top Gun Maverick again with cars, because you genuinely could have got Tom Cruise to play the Brad Pitt role in this and had this be Days of Thunder Maverick. Literally that, and it's exactly as good as Top Gun Maverick was. It's every bit as good and as technically brilliant and immersive and gripping as Top Gun Maverick was. And I say it with this as a ringing endorsement. I think 5 of us went to the screening of this. Yeah, there was 5 of us in total if you include Paul. Paul Ross joined us as well. And of the 4 of us, and I think including Paul, none of us like Formula One. None of us are interested. None of us know anything about Formula One. By the end of this movie, we really wanted to watch a Formula One race. No joke. We were in the pub. We were pounding drinks in the pub afterwards, just raving and gushing about this. It's a predictable enough underdog sports movie in the same way that Top Gun Maverick is a predictable enough Top Gun sequel. You kind of know what the beginning, middle, and end of Top Gun Maverick are going to be. And you know more or less what the beginning, middle, and end of this is going to be. I mean, it makes no bones about it, but you don't care, because we sat there in front of an IMAX screen for 2.5 hours watching this. My fingers did not stop gripping those armrests the whole way through. I didn't take a single note during this movie. I remember everything about it, but I didn't take a single note on paper during this movie. It's a banger. What you were saying about Silverstone down the road from you, my personal favourite thing of this is there's a clip you can find very easily online from this movie, and it's Brad Pitt sat in a pub. And this was shown on, I think it was Lorraine, on Wednesday morning. It was shown on Lorraine. They had this clip. And it's the clip of Brad Pitt in this pub. That pub is 1 mile walk from my front door. That is the Globe in Leighton Buzzard. That's the Globe Inn on the canal in Leighton Buzzard. That's where we go when the weather's nice during the heat waves and stuff. That's where we walk and just, sit by the canal side and have a drink in the, in the shade, the boats going by. And it's a really lovely picturesque location. But yeah, they've used it for this, and it's the weirdest thing to see your local on.
Doesn't that, though, just make you sick to think that if you had just by chance decided to go there for a cold pint in the sunshine on that particular afternoon, you would have been sat with Brad Pitt?
No, apparently they shut it down for 2 weeks. Apparently they shut the pub down for 2 weeks for it.
Oh, that ruins it.
I don't know why, because it's only one scene. But yeah, great movie. Very much Brad Pitt on full movie star form. Like really going for the, the classical movie star charm. You can see how he quite clearly has gone and, looked at Steve McQueen in Le Mans and things like that and tried to draw his inspiration from, McQueen in Le Mans, from Cruise in Days of Thunder. You can see the obvious inspirations from there. The supporting cast are very good. I think Javier Bardem steals the movie in pretty much every scene he's given. Damson Idris, who is rumored to be the new Black Panther, by the way. There's a rumor that they've recast Black Panther with Damson Idris. Seeing him in this film, I can understand why, because he has a lot of charisma. I still can't remember what film I'd seen him in beforehand, but I like him very much in this. And Kerry Condon from Banshees of Inisherin, she is the voice of Iron Man's AI. Friday. She's the voice of Friday in the Marvel movies. Is the sort of the would-be love interest. The Nicole Kidman, if we stick with the Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
She's the Nicole Kidman of this one. Wholeheartedly go and see this. It might be the finest dad movie ever made since Top Gun Maverick. Like, it's very much that. Like, it's effortlessly my favorite movie ever made about racing. Like, I have to say that. Like, until now, until now it was Ford v Ferrari. This has effortlessly trounced that, because on a technical level, it is fantastic. I'm very much on Team Joe Kosinski, and the fact that he's doing Miami Vice next gives me nothing but enthusiasm and hope. Yeah, I would say this is one. Fellas, take your dad this weekend. Just take him. The trick they missed on this one is they did not release it a few weeks earlier and actually get it out for Father's Day, because you wouldn't have been able to buy a seat for love or money if they had done it.
What I want to know is it going to be shown in 4DX?
Oh, do you know, if I said this to you, actually, I think I said, if this is actually showing in 4DX, there may be deaths involved. Like, this would be hard. Incidentally, if you have an Apple device, Apple have actually, because it's an Apple film, it's being distributed by Warner Brothers, you can access, there is a what's called a haptic trailer. that Apple have released. So you watch the trailer on your Apple device. Faith did it in the cinema on my phone, because she's an Android person. Took my phone before the film. It was Stuart's phone, and started watching this haptic trailer, and it uses the haptic engine of the phone to vibrate through you. It pummels out the bass
I love that.
as if you're playing like an N64 with a rumble pack in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
It does that to the trailer. And yeah, do you know what? If there's a film to wheel out this gimmick for, I would love to see this in 4DX. Absolutely. But I think before I did that, I'd want to see it in IMAX again, because it's a hell of an experience.
Well, it's absolutely on my list. I knew it was going to be good anyway, so it was already there anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, F1 in cinemas already. Go and see it this weekend or next weekend or whenever you can, because I will be there as soon as I get the time. Right then, do I even need to ask you what film of the week is this week?
No, you do not, because it's effortlessly F1. Effortlessly. Yeah. I can say I had no interest in Formula One, and yet this thing won me over. Not only won me over, won all of us over so hard. It was such a ride. Yeah,
mission completed then. That's obviously what Formula One wanted from this movie, which is why they endorsed it and allowed them to film at all the races.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know this. F1 is considered the fastest growing sport on the planet.
Wow.
Because obviously the Vegas thing is still, the Vegas Grand Prix is still a relatively recent thing. Like that's not that old as an event. And with the Vegas Grand Prix, Americans have discovered and started to fall in love with F1. It's getting really big with Americans, for instance. So obviously the global reach is just expanding on F1, and having Brad Pitt, be the guy on the poster for a movie that's literally got F1 emblazoned on it. Yeah, this thing is going to make so much money. And I do think in actuality there'll be a lot of repeat business for it. I think a lot of people will go and see this a couple of times. Put it this way, this is the biggest game in town until Superman. I know that there is another tentpole in the meanwhile, but believe me, it is not 1/10 as good as F1. Genuinely, not 1/10.
Well, there you have it. So to conclude this week's show, let's have a quick look at what we've got coming up next week. There's nothing as big as F1, I'm sure. But we are going to talk about The Shrouds.
A new Cronenberg movie. A new Cronenberg movie about talking to the dead. What could possibly go wrong with that? If ever there's a man to do that, it's David Cronenberg. That is going to be one of the most messed up films of the year, I guarantee it.
Also, Jungle Trouble,
which I believe is a cheap and cheerful animated movie.
Sounds it.
Yeah, very much. We have also got, and I'm quite excited about this, Heads of State, in which John Cena plays the US president, Idris Elba plays the British Prime Minister. They get shot down on Air Force One and have to team up and fight bad guys. I'm going to a cocktail party for this next week, with Idris Elba and John Cena. I mean, to tell you how excited I am about that, Priyanka Chopra's going to be there, and I don't care. Which, wow! But the one, of course, that I think everyone's really excited for next week is the 7th movie in the Jurassic World trilogy, the Jurassic World saga, the Jurassic Park saga, whatever you're calling it now. I think they've settled on World now. Jurassic World Rebirth, starring Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. I have seen it, and it is out on Wednesday next week. So by the time we get the next episode out, it will have been out for 2 days. So there's going to be people who will have seen it by that point. So I am just going to tell you all in advance, it's absolute garbage. It's not the worst Jurassic World movie, because that's Dominion. But this thing is such garbage. It really is.
They're working through all the celebrities in the world as well, slowly. Yeah. There's not going to be any left.
Yeah, at this point, Brad is literally the only guy who's not been in a Jurassic movie.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. Well, we'll see what Van thought to all of those in a bit more depth next week. That is, of course, all we have time for on Off Screen this week. We will be back next week. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor. Keep it cinematic, and we shall return.